But there we go, we finished episode 4. And we're jumping now into episode 5, A Tangled Web. And again, because this is near the final phases of this episode, there are a bunch of new enemies around. I guess just like the last episode, I didn't really care to search for bottles. Because this world or this map is a bit tricky, especially finding a lot of bottles. Unlike Sly 1, these clue bottles are quite out of the way like this. Like, I would have no reason to go that way in the main story. Like, you don't even come to this area until the very end. So I mean, it's fine 100%ing this now after completing the game. We have really not much to do except kind of enjoy the level design, to be honest. Especially that this game is quite old, from the early 2000s. I'm still quite impressed about how nice this game looks, despite its time. And people say that a lot for a lot of old games, but I'm biased towards this game, so I can only say that for myself. Alright. Just need 10 more. Making pretty good progress, to be honest. But again, the remaining 10 will probably not be as easy as I think it will be. But, like I said, it's worth a try. It's really nice that somehow I am managing to find all the bottles quite quickly. Again, it's all about trying to remember where you have and haven't been. I think that saves you a lot of time, as well as listening for the bottles. Right, so finally got the last clue bottle. I knew it was most likely in the starting area, as I predicted earlier. It's always difficult to find like those last stray bottles when, you know, again, like I said before, when you're thorough or you kind of try to go through the whole map, but then eventually you kind of just go back to places you've already searched before. And now you have to re-look in those locations. But anyway, we made it to the vault and let's see what we get. Looks like we have to fight for it first. I think one thing I didn't mention before is if your cane with a charged attack like this hits an object, it actually cancels it out too. So I had a desk earlier and it didn't work.
Security around the Contessa's castle is tight. She must have something really good in here. Punch in 969. You've gotten the rage bomb move.
Okay, so let's check it out. So similar to the cane or confusion cane, but this one's a bomb instead. I guess technically this could have been for Bentley, but it's good that Sly has a bit of a, let's say, area of effect. I mean, I could just try it on a flashlight guard and then you can move on. There we are. So that's about it. Okay, so here we go with episode 6, He Who Tames the Iron Horse. We already found our first bottle, but it doesn't look like we collected a lot in the original playthrough, which again is fine. Just means I have to dedicate more time searching for them. And again, technically they're all pretty easy to find. It's just the really obscure ones that take some time to relocate. But other than that, we're progressing pretty well. As I've been mentioning a lot, most of these, let's say, searching sessions, or let's say for each episode, takes me about less than half an hour. So in total, this has only been like a few hours. I think if I were to stream it, it would probably just take 2 sessions. But because I'm not able to stream that well right now, I'm just recording, editing it down, especially to make it a bit more easier to watch through, because I know just watching me running around, not doing much and not talking, it's probably something that's more for a stream, but for a series like this, I think it's also enjoyable just to see more condensed, highlighted version. But yeah, we'll see how long it'll take me to do this episode. Okay, so now we just got 5 left. I think technically so far it's only most of the bottles I missed were in the starting area near the safe house. The remaining were kind of just on the train tracks, which that part is going to make things a bit difficult. Other parts are like here, these like mini parkour areas like that. So I mean, if they make the placements of the clue bottles pretty predictable, I think it's not too bad to find them all. So just a few left, and it's really been going by quite quickly. I do hope I can get this done much sooner, but another thing is that this map is quite small. I'm already revisiting some places I checked already, so I guess it's now just being more attentive, and let's see how long this will take. Alright, and the last bottle was just near the vault. Yeah, I really like the music of this episode. It's especially that they also use it for the credits. So it looks like I might have to fight this out, but let's see if this will work in my favor. Kind of.
Jean Bisson's in for another rude awakening the next time he checks in this vault. The code should be 129. You've gotten the music box move!
So this one's kind of like a cute gadget. It doesn't really do much, but pretty much when you use it, it puts the guards to sleep. I think it also attracts them too, but that's it. I'm not going to bother messing around with them after that. Okay, so that's done. Now it's up to episode 7, Menace in the North A. Now I mentioned earlier in the beginning that I might consider doing like a characters showcase where I try to use all their gadgets, but I'm starting to see that it might be quite grindy. So I guess it's a fair warning now as we're nearing the end of this part of the post game. Just to save everyone time, especially me, to kind of grind out all the coins and editing it together, I think I might not do that anymore. Just so this post-game completion can simply be 100%ing the technical game, or at least on record, because I think we'll see once I do get all the vaults and bottles. I don't think in this game gadgets count towards the completion. Like I said, we'll see if I want to be a true completionist, I suppose. But the only reason why I'm really, let's say, enthusiastic to 100% the Sly Cooper series is because the first thing is it's really easy. It's not that difficult to 100% some of these old games. So I can take the time to go out of my way to 100% them. As I've been saying a lot, it only takes me like half an hour to find all the bottles, or at least depending on how much I missed in the original playthrough. And I'm completing each episode, in which I mean the worlds in each game also takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So overall, each game takes approximately, let's say, less than 20 hours if you're really good. So it's kind of like a fun, relaxing game to do a playthrough on, especially that it's on a retro console. And we are already progressing well, it looks like. In the previous playthrough, I already collected almost nearly all of them in comparison to the other worlds. So I think that technically meant that they were pretty easy to find, as well as this world is also quite small. I think the other largest map, in my opinion, is episode 8. That one's quite big. But this one's pretty small. It's just like a small water port. So I didn't really expect much. But now that it is only just some stray bottles, last 2 bottles, it's gonna be hard for me to remember where I have and haven't checked before. So that's gonna be the challenge of this last bit. Okay, found the last bottle. Didn't take too long, but I still think in total this search took about less than 20 minutes, but that's okay. But now we can finally get to the vault, which is randomly in this generator or mill. It also looks like I do have to kind of make my way through the mill again.
You know, you should still enjoy yourself, eh? I mean, how many people get to cut down forests for a living? You all are lucky. Don't ever forget that.
If I did my math right, and I always do my math right, then the combination has got to be 583. Gadzooks, that's a nice one.
Okay, so lightning spin. Okay, I thought it was more like what it was in Sly 3, but need to get some energy first before trying it out. There we go. We can also try it on the guard here. But here we are. So I think this one's also an area of effect. Like that. So in the third game, that's more of a attack rather than an insta-kill like that. But there we go, that was episode 7. Okay, so we're gonna be moving on to the last episode, Autonomy for Disaster. Now, for some reason, I think maybe the game's a little bugged, and that it says that episode 7 is at 36%, or like, yeah, 30%. But I just checked, and I don't know, it's still complete. I have all the bottles, so I have no idea what's wrong with that episode. What I can currently assume is maybe there is a chance that episode soft reset. And so what that means is maybe the story got resetted back to the part where you go back, or when you go to that location. I don't know. I will certainly check that one more time off recording. But that is quite an interesting little, let's say, inconvenience in terms of recording this last bit. That was unexpected, also amusing to a certain extent. But anyway, we are at least now going to complete the final episode, collecting all the bottles and unlocking the last vault. And after some thinking, if this glitch really did reset my progress, I think what I'll do is, instead of going out of my way to I say refinish that episode, I will use my 100% game completion file to feature the other characters' gadgets as well as Sly's. So at the very least we can enjoy that together and we can close off this series. As other than that, like I said, I think once we collect all bottles and vaults, that should have 100% completion. But I will just quickly check that. So that's the worst case scenario. At the end of the day, this is all edited out, or doesn't really matter if I show my progression of getting all the gadgets together. So I don't think it makes a difference if I feature my already 100% completed file versus this playthrough file. So now let's focus on completing this episode. So it's a good thing that majority of the bottles I've missed have been near the safe house, because obviously during the playthrough I didn't go out of my way to explore around the safe house because I didn't need to. But now we are at the final few bottles, and I just kind of have to again remember where I have and haven't checked before. I think that's always how it is in terms of collecting collectibles in games. So let's see how long it'll take for me to do this one. Alright, so found the last bottle. Honestly, this is probably the most shortest one I've ever did. Like, this one literally took less than 15 or even 10 minutes. So at least I got a pretty good record on the last episode. So now let's unlock the vault and we'll see if that little bug or glitch still persists, but I guess it happens. And like I said, worst case scenario, I can always feature my other save file. So here we go with the final vault.
That Arpeggio really knew his encryption algorithms. As it stands, I'm only 86.5% convinced the code to the vault is 725. You got the shadow power boom.
Okay, so let's check it out. Shadow power. So I think that's literally the technique you unlock in the first game. So it's pretty nice to have these old gadgets back, or techniques. They keep switching it, that's why even when I talk about them, I switch between the terms. But there we go. So let's go back to the episode menu and let's close this off. So again, I don't know why. As you can see, episode 7 got reverted to 36%. That is quite an unfortunate thing, but other than that, we can just quickly look at each other episode. And it does seem like at least these ones are still at 100%. So, and that's it. So something else that I just remembered is that you do unlock some special movies by completing each episode. You don't have to 100% them. So what I'll do is, if they're quite short, as you can see that prompt there, I can try to feature them and see if it's, I guess, worth showing the entire movie. If not, again, I recommend that you try playing the game for yourself or looking up the cutscenes, because if you can't play the games, then you're free to do whatever you want. So here we go. Alright, so just finished watching the first episode movie. It's kind of cute. It's kind of like a secondary intro to the second game, or like an alternative one. It's also interesting that it uses the let's say intro animation when you get into the episode screen when he jumps into the van. But next up, we got the movie you unlock after completing episode 3. Alright, so just finished watching the movie you unlock from episode 3. It's kind of like a small commercial featuring a celebrity. There's nothing else I can really mention about that. It's interesting enough, I never seen those commercials live on TV or wherever that's being played, so I have no connection to it, to be honest. But here we go, but episode 5's movie. Alright, so just finished watching the movie from episode 5. It's another commercial, and I think it's quite interesting that it does show some gameplay that, again, seems like it's quite different to the final game. So again, I'm not sure if it's from, like, the say alpha build or something. It's also interesting seeing the animations look quite different to what it is now. For example, in Sly 2, they use 2D animation, whereas the commercials use 3D animation. So it's quite a contrast, and I don't know, I think that's quite interesting. So next up is the movie you unlock by completing episode 7 at 100%. But because that episode is currently bugged out, what I'll do is that I will switch to my 100% completed file, and we can watch the movie. Hopefully it's not too long, or maybe I'll just cut this out. I don't know. Alright, so just finished watching the last movie from episode 7. It is a behind the scenes. And so I think what I'll do is, like I said before, I think it's better to just cut all the movie reactions out, especially if I don't actually say anything. And also, again, I just recommend that you try playing the games for yourself and watching the movies. It's always fun to earn those kinds of treats by putting in the effort. And if you can't play the games, that's fine. I just recommend you can just watch the movies online somewhere. Just for this video or this series, I don't want to prolong it with empty content, I guess. So unfortunately, the original playthrough file got a little corrupted and I couldn't truly show that episode 7 was 100%ed, but at least it was recorded. It is technically 100%, and the series is now complete. So what I'll do now is, I think I have time to quickly showcase some of the gadgets between all the characters, especially that I am using my original file. And it doesn't make much of a difference, so let's quickly jump into it. So again, we're going to be starting off as Sly. So as you can see at the bottom right, there is a missing slot, and I'll go into that in a moment. So, to showcase the first three, we have Smoke Bombs, Comic Dodge, and Stealth Slide. So obviously the Smoke Bomb allows you to escape the guards when you're detected. As for Combat Dodge, we'll find a smaller guard. That's probably here in the rooftops. Here we are. So it's nothing much. So pretty much you can just quickly dodge around your opponents like this. It doesn't cost any energy. And then Stealth Slide. Just a little bit of a movement boost that instead of running you can have a bit of, let's say, faster movement without detecting the guards. So the next set is the Alarm Clock, Thief Reflexes, and Feral Pounce. So obviously the Alarm Clock we used in episode 7. Use that to distract guards. So again, nothing much. Then for the Thief Reflexes, again, it is to slow down time or put everything to slow motion. Again, nothing much. And then finally, Feral Pounce is another movement gadget, which I guess in Sly 1 it was not really technically used, but it's kind of nice to see that different animation. Honestly, I don't really know what it actually does. And then I already featured all the gadgets you unlock when you get all the vaults, so we can just now jump into the last ones that you get from cheats. So again, if you didn't notice this one, Tom is similar to the alarm clock. But instead of using the ringing tone, it has a voiced doll. Probably one of the developers, to be honest. And then Time Rush, obviously. I use this throughout the 100% completion to quicken time. Now the last gadget for Sly, which is on the bottom right as I mentioned, is the Mega Jump. The Mega Jump is unlocked, or you can unlock it with a cheat after you achieve 100% completion. And the cheat is right, left, R1 left. And there's the indication. And there you go. So just like in episode 8, you can now use this freely. But you can only do it when you're grounded, but it does increase your mobility quite a lot. It does make it quite useful for moving around the play area. And it doesn't cost any energy either, so that's quite nice. But considering you only unlock it after you 100% the game, it's kind of more like just playing around with the play area, as I've said. And now we're going to jump into Bentley. So for Bentley, he doesn't have much. So we have Trigger Bombs, which is usually a good one to have. Then we have Snooze Bomb, similar to what Sly gets with the music box. And we also have the Health Extractor, and Health Extractor is pretty good. So now we can test this out. So throwing bombs is pretty basic. If you use it during the playthrough, it's quite useful, that you don't have to run up to your opponents like this, but rather you can do this. Next we have the sleeping bomb. So instead of using your darts, you can use that bomb to put your enemies to sleep. Finally we have the health extractor. To me it's kinda OP, that if you bring a enemy towards it, you can convert them into health like that. Now it does take an activation press, so you throw it to place it, and then you press it again to use it. But I think that is quite an interesting gadget to use. So if you're a beginner at the game, it will be pretty useful to have. Okay, next up we have the reduction bomb. And we have the adrenaline burst in hover pack. So for the shrink bomb, obviously it shrinks your enemies and then it makes them easier to kill. And I think it also reduces the damage you receive when they hit you. Next is adrenaline rush. So you kind of go into like a big burst of speed, but you can't really control it and you can't deactivate it. But I suppose it might be useful for speed running. And then finally we have the hover back. Kind of similar to what he gets in Sly 3. I guess that's a slight spoiler, but you can get some height or a little bit of energy. Not too bad. And then the last set is size destabilizer and temporal lock. And then this one is just a longer toss. So for size destabilizer, instead of using a bomb, you can hit your opponent with your crossbow to shrink them. I think this is more for people who prefer to have more control on hitting their opponent, because timing the bomb is sometimes difficult to do. And then for time freeze, I mean, it's not much, but it is an interesting concept, especially that in Sly 1, Sly had that power. So they gave it to Bentley, I suppose. Another small tidbit I can share is if you have size destabilizer or the shrinking gadget, you can actually kill Carmelita in episode 6 by shrinking her and then making her get run over by the train, or technically you can beat her while she's small and you can actually KO her. She's not permanently dead, but she's actually knocked out. Anyway, we're moving on to Murray for the last bit. So Fist of Flame, just like I've showcased before, it's a pretty useful, we can call it an elemental attack. Yeah, when you hit an opponent with these fire fists, you'll instantly kill them. Like so. Though it's not silent, so, but it's good to use for large group like in other episodes where you have to defend your friends. And then we have the rush, kind of like what he used in episode 5, I believe. That you have a quick burst of speed and headbutt an opponent. And then the Infernal Flop, you can jump down and burn your opponents. Just like that. Pretty nice area of effect, again, useful for group fights. Then we have the Diablo Finer Slam. So the Diablo Fire Slam, you carry your opponent and you slap them with a fire effect. Next we have the Turnbuckle Launch. So this is kind of like the Mario crouch jump. So you can see the height difference like that. You can get a fair amount of height. And I guess it improves Murray's mobility quite a lot. And then finally we have the Guttural Roar. So this pretty much de-aggroes you. It causes energy, so I will need to go back to the safe house to get some more energy back. So like this. So again, if you want aggro, or at least make your guards get away from you, it gives you enough time to get away from them. But technically after the effect is over, they will re-aggro, so you should use that window to get away. So the final, I guess, things you can buy is Juggernaut Throw. So there's a passive gadget that now when you throw people, it has a explosive AoE or area of effect. And then finally, we have Atlas Strength, that for some reason this wasn't in the base kit, but you can jump while you're carrying somebody. And that's it. So again, that was everything I wanted to show. Just want to say thank you again for taking the time to watch this series. I really appreciate that if you watch this from the very beginning to this very end, the post game. I really am happy that you've taken that time, and hopefully you enjoyed this series from the beginning to end, especially that Sly 2 is one of my most favorite childhood games. So I have nothing really much else to say other than thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.